fans of the Horus Heresy, the primordial truth, and leaders of Legio 17. Thank you very much for joining me for an Out of the Pack review. And it's been some time since we've done one of these, hasn't it? And today we have a miniature which was perhaps had the longest preview period in the history of Games Workshop. And this is none other than this chap here, the Wordbearer's Legion Terminator Praetor. And this is a model from Forgeworld's Horus Heresy range. And I say this as the longest preview of any Games Workshop miniature ever, because it was first shown, I think, in late 2019. And then it was just released in early April 2021. Obviously, this is related to pandemic delays. So perhaps it is a model with the longest preview ever. Although we could argue perhaps it was Tubehead, for those of you who remember The Lost and the Damned. Anyway, yes, I've got this miniature here, and what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to unbox this miniature, I'm going to show you its features and details, appraise the quality, and just generally let you know what I think about it. First thing, let's see, is this a code 30? 995530. So yes, code 30. So another one to go on a code 30 list. For those of you who don't know what code 30 is, check out my video linked in the description. Right, let's get the knife of opening. This is kind of like one of the Legion specific Praetor range that Forgeworld's been expanding over the last couple of years, and a number of Legions now have a model of this type. There's a Terminator version and a Artificer armed version. So this is a Terminator version for the Wordbearers. This particular guy is equipped in Tartaros Terminator plate. So let's get the parts out. So this is way fancier in terms of components than a standard Tartaros Terminator miniature. Ooh, what's that there? And that definitely is some component there. Right. So there's quite a lot of parts here. Let's see if we can make that stand. Oh yes, look at that. That's not bad. Right. I've got all the parts out there at one time. From the top, we have a 40mm standard round base. Nothing unusual there. Right. Let's begin at the bottom and work our way up. The way this model works is it has two separate legs and then a hip piece, which is again made from two parts. So it's quite intriguing. Before we get to the construction peculiarities of this model, let's just take a look at the leg of this Terminator. And this is what, for me, really does this model as a Wordbearer. And you can see the armour is carved with all these Colchizian runes. Or runes, not rooms. It has 17 in Roman numerals. These little fiery flicks almost. Those people who have the Lorgar miniature, which was sculpted by Edgar Skoromowski, will recognise this style of armour detailing, and it's very reminiscent of that. So I really like how they've taken, the sculptor or sculptors has taken that theme from the Lorgar Primarch miniature and translated it onto this Terminator Praetor. And of course, you could use this miniature for a variety of roles in a Legion army. Right, now, then the hips. So with the hips, we have kind of like two side bits into which the legs are going to attach here and somewhere. Oh, there, I think those, oh, I see. So these two bits here. So actually, ignore what I said about that. That was wrong. These two cutouts are going to form the hip joints. Yeah. And then between his legs, he has this rather fancy tabard flaying everywhere, which is quite intricate, put it mildly. And again, we've got the little flame flick details at the end. So quite an unusual design on a Terminator here. And I'm going to come back to those later when I give you my thoughts on this model. Let's stick with working our way up this guy. And the next thing we have is a torso. So despite the unusual leg assembly, this model follows a general layout of a Tartaros Terminator in that you've got legs, you've got a torso, and then you've got separate arms. So you could interchange this with other Tartaros Terminator parts, both plastic and resin, or resin if you've still got any left over, because they've been out of production a long while. On the torso, we've got lots more of these Colchizian inscriptions. Very neat looking. And here we have the guy's right arm. And again, on the lower vambrace, or forearm guard, whichever is the correct terminology, we have the more runes. So yeah, very good. Let me just touch on the casting quality. So the legs were great. There was a little bit of a displacement or slip to move on that. There's a bit of a mold slip here running across the top of the torso. That's very prominent, but not too big, so that will clean up. So look at the arm. Yeah, looks okay. Trying to clean up mold slips across these is hard work, but then again, they can be resculpted, and I've got a video to post at some point of a very substantial repose I did of the Lorgar miniature. So do keep an eye out for that, and you'll see how these details can be sculpted by hand with a bit of creativity. Let's finish on the limbs and then start to work into the inner details. So we've got his left arm, and he's signalling with an open palm. We could speculate as to why he's doing that. So a little bit of a mold seam to clean up there. On the pauldron, we've got more runes. His weapon is a Phobos pattern combi weapon, and this guy in particular has got a combi melter, so a great hero popper or tank buster, and he's got a sling on his combi weapon as well. This is quite an unusual and interesting feature for a Terminator. Do like the detailing on the hands, or this particular hand. Really good. Have to be careful with those delicate parts as well. Then we've got another pauldron. Ah, right. I can see what this actually is now. On the studio photo, I couldn't really make this out very well. It looked like a bit of a funny blob of candles, but now having it in person, it's clear what's going on. So I have a skull motif or a skull icon surrounded by some candles. Right, very good. Do like that. Is that a mold slip or not? No, it isn't. Right, okay. Right, that is not a mold slip there. That is actually a detail, a ridge that runs down that armor plate. And then we have the haft of the Praetor's weapon. Yeah, it's just a hand and a haft. And on that haft question and general top of the Terminator, we have some slightly crazy details. So this here is like the head of a sensor type weapon, or like a mace, which is like a sensor. Got some nice detailing on it there, like this. That's really cool. I do like the word bearer's head there. That's neat. I don't know if that's supposed to be inked like that. Oh no, okay, that needs cleaning up. Right, that's okay. I understand. So it's a spike. And then we've also got this, which is another kind of like sensor, which is supposed to sit on top of this carapace for his armor. So that's what that's supposed to do. So quality-wise, yep, they look nicely molded. Very good. Then we have little bits. Okay. We have a cable. I have no idea where the cable goes, so I'll have to figure that out later. We have a prayer paper. Pretty neat. We have his groin skull armor, which has got an excellent word bearer skull icon on it. And then we have a book that is going to go on the shoulder here. So that goes on the left shoulder. And again, this is very reminiscent of the icons and styling of Lorgar. So if you have a Lorgar model, it's the same. And also if you have a Maragal Tainted Dreadnought, the same there again. Casting-wise, they all look very good. And then finally, we have the heads. We have the heads in the upper torso. In terms of heads, we have an unhelmeted head, we have a helmeted head, and then we have the upper carapace to the armor. So let's start off with the upper carapace. So we've got the mounting point for the sensor, We've got a couple more candles. Just a few more details there. That looks that's rather neat. Do like. Right, let's have a look at these heads, because I think these heads look great. So this guy, the unhelmeted head, he's got a rather nifty hairdo. Somewhat Sevatar-like in his slicked back hair. Yeah, I do quite like that. And he's got quite an impressive scar running down one side of his face as well. Was that a ritual or otherwise? I don't know. And then also he has this cross device here, and that is reminiscent of a lot of imperial religious icons from the 40k or post-heresy era. So an interesting little touch there. And I think the real party piece of this model is this helmeted head with this skull. That is absolutely incredible. I do like that. That's an awesome helmet. Yeah, that's ace. I mean, it fits the general style of miniature, but you could take this helmet, remove this kind of flame icon, and use it on all sorts of different legions. It would be great on Night Lords, for example, to very in theme with them. You could put it on a whole host of other legion Terminators, and maybe with a bit of conversion work, standard Marines as a chaplain's helmet, and it's absolutely perfect for that. There you go. There are the parts of the Wordbearer's Legion Terminator Praetor. So in terms of the quality on this, generally this is excellently cast. There are a few more noticeable mold slips to remove, but I think the main one I noticed was that one there. That's the biggest one to remove. Yeah. So overall, this is excellently cast, very crisp and very clean. There's hardly any mold release agent on it. You still need a wash as usual. Spot on there. In terms of what I think of this miniature, I've bought this to do some converting work on, because some of the things I want to modify, and there's some of the things that don't quite hit the mark in terms of the styling. So the first thing is the flame effects on these. Now, this is a consequence of digital design, and for me, these sort of flames are just too stylized. And I don't know, in my eyes, you can see that on the miniature now. You know, if you want that sort of thing, fine. On some 40k models, it might look really good. You know, perhaps that could be a mace on a demon, a Runestorm demon, that might work. But I think for this Terminator, no. So I'm going to leave this off. In terms of the mace head, I've got a spare blade from the store-only released Terminator Praetor. I'm going to do a weapon graft and give him the blade, so I think that will suit him much better. So he's got like a double-handed Paragon blade. Not to take him with those, and I think in terms of design, they need to have a more natural set of lines to them if you're going to put flames on a model like that. And the other thing is, which I'm not yet sure about, are these Tabards, which are quite prominent and hefty. And I'm not sure about these kinks, these jagged kinks. I don't actually think that leather would move like that. It would move in straight lines. So there's two things I might do here. The first would be to smooth out these kinks and basically round them off. Or secondly, I might just cut the tabard out entirely. So it's just got a pair of legs without the tabard. And I don't think, there's no inner leg missing. So if I do that, I just need to then recraft the form of what I've cut out. So there'll be a bit of modification and recrafting work to do that if I choose to do that. There are some modifications I'm going to make to this miniature. So overall, though, I'm really pleased with it. I think the armor design with the runes over it and the nods to the Lorgar miniature, I think are excellent, and I really like those. The pose is great. I love the pose. That's really well done. There's just a couple of things there that I'm going to leave out, which are these, and modify or maybe remove, which are those. So those are my thoughts on the Wordbearer's Legion Terminator Praetor from Forge World, yet another Code 30 miniature. As always, please share your thoughts and observations in the comments section. I'll be interested to hear what you think of this one. Have you bought this model? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to do any conversion or modification work on it? I'll be very interested to hear what your ideas are and thoughts are around that. Please do share those in the comments section. I'd just like to say thank you to all my patrons. I've had a few new patrons of recent weeks, so thank you all very much for supporting me. I do appreciate it. It takes quite a lot of time to make these videos, so having your support helps me to make time in my day to make these videos for all of you. So thank you very much, Patreons. But other than that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.